Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking into a pretty big digital security challenge, quantum computing, and more importantly, how post-quantum cryptography is, well, stepping up.
Exactly. We want to give you the essentials fast.
Right. Because
Yeah.
quantum computing, it's potentially this huge paradigm shift.
Huge. Yeah, it promises amazing things, for medicine, material science, AI. But the flip side is this major disruptive potential for, well, digital security.
Okay, so what's the core threat? Let's break that down.
It really boils down to how these quantum computers work. They use qubits and phenomena like superposition, entanglement, allowing them to do certain calculations way faster than our normal computers, exponentially faster in some cases.
And the big one everyone talks about is Shor's algorithm, right? From back in '94.
That's the key concern, yeah. Shor's is specifically designed to crack integer factorization and discrete logarithm problems really efficiently. It uses something called the quantum Fourier transform.
And why is that the critical part? Why those specific math problems?
Because our modern public key cryptography, think RSA, ECC, that kind of asymmetric stuff, its security relies entirely on those problems being incredibly hard for classical computers to solve.
Okay. So Shor's just makes them easy.
Relatively speaking, for a powerful enough quantum computer, yes, it completely undermines the security assumptions.
Let's talk RSA then. Security based on factoring huge numbers. You mentioned 48-bit keys are common. How does Shor's deal with that?
Well, think about trying to find the two prime numbers that multiply together to make that giant 2048-bit number. Classically, impractical, takes ages.
Right.
But a quantum computer running Shor's, it can find those factors much, much faster. And once you have the factors, you can figure out the private key. Game over for that encryption. Needs maybe around 4,000 logical qubits, estimates suggest.
Okay, wow. And what about ECC, elliptic curve cryptography? It uses smaller keys for like equivalent classical security.
That's right. Classically, ECC is more efficient. Say, a 256-bit ECC key might be as strong as a 32-bit RSA key.
So it's safer against quantum.
Actually, no. That's the tricky part. Per bit of classical security, ECC is often considered more vulnerable to quantum attacks. Shor's can tackle its underlying math problem, too, the elliptic curve discrete logarithm problem. And estimates suggest it might need fewer logical qubits to break 256-bit ECC, maybe somewhere between 500 and 2500 compared to breaking RSA 2048.
That's worrying. So this idea of a cryptographically relevant quantum computer, or a CRQC, when might we actually see one?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Timelines vary. Some experts point towards maybe the 2030 timeframe as a possibility.
And when that happens?
When or if a CRQC emerges, basically all the deployed asymmetric crypto we rely on becomes insecure, instantly vulnerable.
And it's not just about encrypting messages, is it? What else breaks?
Oh, absolutely not just encryption. Think digital signatures. They guarantee authenticity, integrity. They break.
So someone could forge signatures.
Potentially, yes. And key exchange methods like Diffie-Hellman or ECDH used to agree on symmetric keys for secure sessions, also vulnerable.
So RSA, ECDSA, DSA signatures, DH, ECDH, all of them.
All based on those same hard math problems that Shor's targets. So yeah, widespread risk, forged identities, intercepted communications. It's serious.
Okay, deep breath. So the solution path is this post-quantum cryptography, PQC.
Exactly. PQC is the umbrella term for new cryptographic algorithms, designed from the ground up to be resistant to attacks from both classical and quantum computers.
And crucially, these run on the computers we already have.
Yes, that's key. They run on existing classical hardware. We don't need quantum computers to use PQC.
What about symmetric stuff like AES encryption? Is that okay?
There's another quantum algorithm, Grover's, which can speed up searches. It gives a quadratic speedup against symmetric keys.
Quadratic, so not exponential like Shor's.
Right. And the generally accepted countermeasure is just doubling the key length. So moving from AES 128 to AES 256, for instance, it's manageable. The real urgent focus is replacing the public key algorithms.
Okay, so the main takeaway is this quantum threat is real, it's looming, and we need new public key crypto, especially with that harvest now, decrypt later risk.
Precisely. That's a huge concern. Attackers could be recording encrypted data today, even if they can't break it yet, planning to decrypt it years down the line once they have a CRQC. Think about long-lived sensitive data.
Government secrets, health records, financial data.
Exactly. Stuff that needs to stay confidential for decades. It's already potentially vulnerable in the long term.
But there's work being done, right? NIST, the U.S. standards body, they've been standardizing PQC algorithms.
Yes, thankfully. NIST has been running a multi-year process, a competition really, to select and standardize PQC algorithms. They finalized the first batch.
And what came out on top?
We now have FIPS 203, which is ML-Chem, also known as Kyber. That's for key establishment. Then FIPS 204, MLDSA, or dilithium. And FIPS 205, SLHDSA, or SynCS, plus those are for digital signatures.
Okay, Kyber, dilithium, SFIN, NCS plus LAs. Okay.
And they also selected a couple more, like Falcon and HQC, for future standardization. It's good because they're based on different underlying mathematical problems, things like lattice problems, hash functions, coding theory, problems we believe are hard for quantum computers too.
A diversity of approaches? That sounds smart. But are there downsides? Performance hits?
Yeah, there are trade-offs. That's almost always the case in crypto. PQC algorithms often have larger key sizes or signature sizes compared to, say, ECC, and their computational performance, speed, memory usage can vary. It's not always a direct swap in for ECC in terms of efficiency.
So for listeners thinking about this, what's the action item? What should they be doing now?
The big concept is crypto agility, being prepared to switch cryptographic algorithms. So right now, it's about starting the process, inventorying where current crypto is used.
Identifying systems, data.
Exactly. Understanding dependencies, and starting to plan for migration to these new NIST standards. It won't be flipping a switch.
And NIST is putting deadlines on the old stuff.
They are. They've indicated timelines for deprecating classical algorithms with lower security strengths, like anything below 128-bit security. For asymmetric schemes providing only 112 bits of security, they'll be deprecated after 2030 and disallowed for U.S. federal use after 2035. It's a clear push towards PQC.
Right, encouraging that direct migration. Okay, fascinating stuff. Maybe a bit sobering, too. So let's leave our listeners with this. Given how long some data, some systems need to last, what information are you creating or storing today that might still need to be secure in 2035, 2040, or beyond? And what steps, even small ones, could you start thinking about now to prepare for that quantum future?
A really important question to ponder.
Indeed. Thanks for diving deep with us today.